Good afternoon and welcome back, everyone, for the third session on Gen AI in NREN empowerment. Um, so, any questions or any concerns, clarifications from the morning sessions?
Well, thank you so much. So I have few questions. Number one was uh, you told something about reinforcement learning, and in that you gave some examples. Like you said, there's a child, and we give him reward and punishment. So how we can reward a machine, or we can punish a machine as he can learn from reward and punish. So that is my first question. And number second is, what is the main difference between machine learning and deep learning?
Okay, excellent questions. Reinforcement learning, it's about, so basically what it does is what you do in machine learning is that you get it to learn from other behavior and then take new actions, right? Uh, yes, yes, I'll come to that one. So that's the basic one, right? So you learn from data and you get it to do new things. So with these new things may not be things that you always do, or you might not know whether which one is correct. Like a child does not know which one is the right thing or the wrong thing to do. Like a dog, when you say sit, you don't know. You can keep telling it to sit, but you don't know. The dog doesn't know which one is the sit one. So when it sit down, you treat him. It's the same way when you're training a reinforcement learning machine learning algorithm. If it's correct, you'll give it a positive reward, so it will learn that as the better one.
Actually, we are talking about reward and punishment. So, how can we justify? How can we give the punishment to the machine?
Okay, so punishment is a low mark or a negative mark.
So, how can we give a machine low mark and high
So
marks?
it's not the machine. So it's like this, right? So I come to this junction. I have three paths to take, right? So based on some criteria, I need to make three paths. I have three paths to make. 100 paths, doesn't matter. Now, based on which path I take, I get a reward. So if I go this way, I'll get 100 reward.
No, actually, that's a human example. I know that.
Yeah.
But
So the
in the
machine is the
context of
same thing. So if you are expected to do something, if you do the correct thing or the most appropriate one, you get 100 marks, right? And if you do this one, if you get lower marks. So what happens is it learns by getting more marks to this one, this path get established more. So it's like, I mean, I don't want to go into the details of like, this comes from neural networks and all those, there are multiple models, just not that. But so how the algorithms work is it's not that it's, so machine learning, the difference between machine learning and so I don't want to go to details because this is not about machine learning, but machine learning is not a rule-based system. So in a rule-based system, somebody will say, when you come here, if it's this particular, for reason, go this way, but this particular reason, go this way. Machine learning is not like that. You learn to do things based on many criteria. So then you have preferable choices. So based on that one, you will get rewarded so that this path will have more like, more benefit for you to go. So it's the way the algorithm works. So it's maybe, let's take it as a probability. So like, if you there's a probability of getting 90 marks going this path based on certain criteria, you will do that more often, right? So it can be implemented in many ways. I don't want to go to the algorithms, but it's basically rewarding more by, like, making this path more probable to choose based on certain criteria, the keywords, whatever. It could be based on many reasons.
machine learning and deep learning.
Okay, very quickly, just a couple of sentences, okay? I actually had it in my slides. Okay, I don't want to go to that detail. So the idea is this: machine learning. It's like machine learning. Previously, you had to kind of be a computer scientist or a computer engineer to know what to do. So if you learn AI or computer engineering, AI or machine learning, you will learn how to extract the, as I said, data is important. So how to extract the feature, what features to use, how to put it into the next model and get the output and put to the next model and do it. So that's how machine learning went. So people had to learn AI or machine learning in depth, study different algorithms and a lot of things, uh, try different algorithms and see which one would work, do a comparison and all that. What happened with deep learning is that this entire process, the pipeline, was automated. That's what also may go and try a lot of different things. What made it possible is the higher computing power. Because now since you have higher computing power and the data storage capacity, the computers could actually try many things and give out the output without you having to go and do these things manually. Previously, it's like the difference between automating and streamlining. Automating, do you know the difference between that? Automating is that, so like, let's say, for example, application process, you can automate. Now, once you get the applications, you have to analyze it. You can automate that part. Then you analyze that one and give the output. You can automate that separately. But streamlining is make this entire process complete from end to end. So that's what deep learning does. Done?
Okay, in one of your slide, I have seen that you said that the machine learning detects the spam filtering in supervised machine learning. But as far as I know, I was wondering to see that slide. It was mentioned that supervised machine learning checks the spam emails. But I think the spam email checking is actually a rule-based model that is very different from machine learning, because machine learning learns from previous data, previous behavior of the data. But the spam detection is totally different from it, because in spam detection, we provide some wordings. For example, there are some blasphemous words we provide to the machine that
Yeah.
if we receive such type of word, then it should be automatically diverted to the spam rather than inbox. So in that slide, I was seeing that the spam detection was a example of supervised machine learning, but I think it should be corrected. It is not a part of supervised machine learning.
Okay. I'll suggest you go and read about this one again. How machine learning is used in spam, and spam filtering is one of the earliest examples of where machine learning was used. So it's a very good example you said, because rule-based system has to, like, as you said specifically very correctly, we have to know. So human has to go and write, if this is what it is, write it. Spam generators, spam people who are using this spam are so ingenious, they will use actually generative AI to do it. Now, if you are to identify a generative AI made spam emails, just say that you're somebody using generative AI to create spam emails, right? And you have, like, it comes up with very, I mean, how like, if you have seen spam emails, they are very, very adaptive. They adapt at, it's like spam and phishing emails are like one of the, is if you take cybersecurity, that's one of the things that you can't really get rid of. Why? Because they are changing it very rapidly, because social engineering, I'm sorry, I'm going out of that, but I'll just answer this one and feel finish. So social engineering, like, social engineering means basically trying to fool a person. That is the easiest thing. In cybersecurity, that's the easiest thing. You can have all the equipment, all the technology in the world, but if I can fool you, I can get you all your personal details,
No,
right?
I mean, I just mean to say that the spam filtering is either a supervised machine learning or rule-based. That's very simple. That's
Sorry?
very simple question. Yes, actually, spam is just a rule that either that data is this
Okay,
one or
sorry.
this one.
No, it's not, because spam keep changing. If a human has to come behind a computer and detect what is spam and write a rule every day, will be, I mean, our email. So if Gmail has used that technique, our email, our inbox would be filled with just spam, nothing else, because the spam is rapidly moving so rapidly. So that's why machine learning is actually Spam filtering is one of the areas that I think machine learning is used so extensively. I mean, rule-based is not even close to solving that. But anyway, I don't want to go into details of that one. Because not just supervised learning, it's actually unsupervised learning also, like, anomaly detection and all, a lot of different things are there. If it's not in a normal cluster, you can detect it. Anyway, I think we should stop there, right? But
Okay,
I
all right.
invite you to.
I got your point. I have just last question from your previous lecture. As you said in your slide that the generative AI is unsupervised machine learning. But as far as I know that the generative AI is actually a combination of supervised learning as well as self-learning, or you can also say reinforcement learning. But in your slide, it was mentioned that the generative AI is a unsupervised machine learning.
Where did I say that?
You can see your slides.
I'll check. I don't think, but it's a combination. You're right. So if I said, I'll correct that.
Yes,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, any more questions? Okay. Let's go into the last session. Unfortunately, since we started late, um, bit of behind schedule, but we'll try to catch up in the sense that understand how we can use. As I said, the whole idea of this session is to learn, right? Uh, just to rewind back to the first session, we just touched upon understanding how rapidly the world is evolving. Whatever I teach you, if I teach you anything today, I'm not trying to teach you anything today, but if I teach you something today, it's already obsolete because it's something that I learned probably last night. It's already obsolete, right? Because things are evolving so rapidly. So the only thing that you can do to stay ahead of the curve is to learn, keep evolving, right? So that's what I'm going to show very quickly with few examples. I invite you to learn, understand what I'm doing, and go beyond that. And if possible, not if possible, um, please share your experience and all that. I'll share my email address. Please share your experience. Whatever you are doing from now on, any stories, any user cases, any way that you're using Gen AI and AI and all this technology in improving these particular fields, please let us know. As I said, we want to develop the community resource so that we can learn from each other and make us better as we go forward, right? So I just showed you a few examples. If you have any particular questions, I'll come back to later. I got one question also from one gentleman during lunch. So I'll come back to specific cases to talk about it. And if you have very specific use cases, examples, you're very welcome to come and share those with us because that's how we'll be able to go forward from here. So we were talking about prompt engineering. Now it's like, Gen AI, whether it's text or, okay, right? So the whole, getting Gen AI to do anything for you, it's about prompt engineering, understanding how it can serve you, right? It's the same as, similar to how we learn how to use Google search, right? Google search, you can just type something, you will find something, and then you'll learn to refine the use of prompt engineering. So I'm just going to show you a few, and we'll try a few different things after that, right? So now I teach ICT for teachers, educators, and all that. So I do the Google search, how to do Google search, Google Scholar search, and all that. So the only thing I tell them is that only thing you need to know is what to search. Once you know what to search and how to search, you can search anything, right? And the same thing, and actually even better, when it comes to Gen AI. Why? Because how to do prompt engineering better? Who do you go and ask? Do you ask Asda Bandaranaike or do you go and ask ChatGPT? I asked ChatGPT or Gemini, so don't ask me, right? If you want to know how to use ChatGPT or GenAI or prompt engineering better, go and ask GenAI. It knows better than me. It knows better than most people, actually. It knows better than actually people who create GenAI. Why? Because it's learning from everybody, right? It's sourcing from everybody and giving you answers. So what should we look at? Well, let's just look at few things. These are things that I mentioned previously as well. Clarity and specificity. Now, this is not just Gen AI into questions and answers. As I mentioned earlier, you try to automate any task, right? As I said, you need to break it down to clear parts. Complex task, machine learning can't do. Right? Machines won't understand complex things. They will do complex things only if you break it down to simple tasks. So first thing, is it clear? Is it specific? Like, that's what you do. So if it's clear and specific, the machine can answer you. Otherwise, it will give you gibberish or something that you are not expecting or something that's not useful, right? So be specific, right? And be clear. And if it's ambiguous, if they can give you multiple answers, well, if the question is ambiguous, you'll get an ambiguous answer. Very simple, right? Now, when I asked that question, what are the major concerns using useful and correct prompts? Yeah. Right? So it gave me a list of things, right? It gave me a list of things. I was like, okay, I can't put this in the slides, I mean, I can, but it will take ages to copy and copy multiple pages. Can you please put it into a table? Very nice table, which I can put into a PowerPoint slide and easily share, which you can take a photograph and see, but you can just learn how to ask this question and do it yourself. Much better, right? But if you really want to, you can just take a photograph and you'll remember. Not remember, you might never look at it, but still it will be there, right? So, I mean, when you are asking a question, you can just tell it to, this is the way I want my answer as well, right? How to format it, right? So different things, these are things that we discussed earlier, right? How to do different things, right? So you can ask these questions. Do these things one by one. Try to learn these things one by one, right? So let's look at this in a different framework, right? How do I improve my prompting technique? Now, if I ask that question, this is once again, as I said, it's basically the way I mentioned earlier. But in this one, that is not just the prompt. I'm asking it to be kind of give context and examples as well. Because the earlier one, I just asked, what can you do? It just gave me breakdown of some theoretical things. Now I'm asking, okay, tell me how to improve my prompting technique. Give some context. Give me some examples so that I can actually do this and try. So you get ChatGPT or Gemini or whichever GenAI LLM tool you want. You keep it on one side. You ask this question or this type of whatever you want to improve on, right? You can be very specific. You can say, how to give me more examples of how to be clear and specific in my input, right? It will give you more and more examples. Or you can be very specific. You can say, I want to write a memo, right? Or I want to write a report. Show me how to ask the question, how to instruct the Gen AI with a very clear and specific instruction, right? So it will give you very specific examples. Now even here, right? Avoid vague and overly broad instructions, right? So include any necessary background information so that the AI can produce relevant and accurate results. Now, understand this one. I told you, if you can remember, a lot of people have asked me this question. So a lot of people say, don't give too, long instructions, right? Then I go and tell people, okay, my prompt was 11 pages long, and the last one I made actually 36 pages long. It's like, doesn't make any sense. You're saying, You make the prompt as unambiguous as possible, make it precise as possible, make it specific as possible, and then you are saying you are creating 36 page. So somebody was asking, I mean, I think Roshan was asking me, like, doesn't make sense, right? Because, like, that's not the instruction, like what people say. Wherever you say, now you go to, like, internet, and people come up with, 10 known techniques would get the best results out of Gen AI, and say very short instructions. Okay, no, it didn't work for me. So what's the difference? Right? So this is the difference. Sorry. So the difference is this: understand the instructions and the background information. So I ask very, very simple, short question. My instruction is like one line. That's all. Everything else is background information. What is background information? So, for example, I made a proposal, a very, very long proposal. So I give the entire instruction. This is what I want to do. This is, okay, here's the instruction from the grant, the funding agency. The entire manual, I just copy paste. Relevant stuff, I copy paste. I give the background for my proposal. I give the background of my organization. I give background about myself and other PIs of the grant and co-PIs, right? I give the format that they are expecting, right? I tell all the motivation of the grant, what I want to do. I don't worry about formatting. I don't worry about language. I don't worry about putting this nicely. I just give all the background information. And I go to UNESCO, what we call sustainable development goals, and copy from there and put, okay, I want to satisfy this. Actually, I don't have to. If I say I want to satisfy this sustainable development goal, it already knows. I tell it, I am from Learn, it actually knows, right? So I do this, I give all the information that it does not know, and I say, can you please write this proposal? It won't write the entire thing really well first time, but I can revise the parts I want. So this is the difference, right? So instruction has to be very, very clear and precise, but you can give all the background information that it does not know. If the background information is already known, you can just ask it and say, take that one, right? Iterate and refine your prompts. This is the same thing. This is like, even Google search, you search for something you don't get, you just put add more words, remove words, and so on, right? Put quotes, remove quotes. So it's a similar way. You use Gen AI, you try something, it doesn't give you what you want, you try again, and you add more things, remove things, and see what works, right? Because don't go and believe anybody who's saying anything. These are the proven techniques. It's proven techniques yesterday or 1 week ago, right? Learn from it, try it out, make your own technique, and make your own technique every day. Revise your technique every day, because Gen AI is changing, right? And you will keep learning how to use it to do the task you want. You won't get it in the first go. You might not even get in the 100th go. But if you keep trying different things, it will start giving you what you want more and more, better and better, until you master it. Well, you'll never really master it, but because it keeps evolving, but you'll get better and better, right? So what I mentioned earlier, break complex tasks into simple prompts. So what I do is, like, so to use the example I used earlier, writing a large proposal, I write the entire thing. It's usually pretty good, but not too, pretty good in the sense, it is most often than not much, much better than anything I could have written. But I'm not satisfied now. I want it to even be better, right? So what I do, I go to each section. Now break down, okay, this is great. Let's take the motivation part. I want these things included in my motivation. I want these things explained better in my motivation. Can you rewrite the motivation with these factors, right? Now it writes only the motivation part, and I tell it exactly how to change it and all that, right? And you go into, like, okay, I have the methodology explained, but I want these things to be changed. I want these things added. I want these things to be more clearly explained. So I can refine and revise, break it down. Even methodology, I can break it down to multiple sections and do. You can try anything. There's no what do you call, penalty for trying, right? You can keep trying. The only way you will learn how to do it properly by trying only, right? You won't learn it by listening to me. You have to you have to start doing it. You have to keep it doing more and again and again and again, right? And constraints and guidelines. So the constraints, right? What are the constraints? Okay, I want introduction to this particular one, limited to 200 words, right? I want my motivation limited to 500 words, right? Write the methodology limited to 1,000 words, right? Now you can put the constraints, and then you can put how to format it. Uh, Write it in paragraphs, write it in bullet form, um, use subheadings. You can tell it to do it many different ways, any way you like. I prefer bullet points and subheadings and all that because it's easy to anybody to read rather than long and long paragraphs, right? So whenever I make unless somebody specifically instructs for you to use paragraphs, I will always go with subheading and bullet points and explanations because it's easier for anybody to just go through and understand the similar way. As you can see, right? Subheadings, bullet points, and explanations. Easy to just follow, right? So even in your things, unless somebody wants that, I mean, you can't go and do that in your PhD thesis, definitely, right? But you can do it here. And you can do the formatting, how to format it properly and so on. You can change the tone. You can say write in a professional tone, right? I mean, probably in these kind of things, you might not use other tones, but if you're using Grammarly, and when you're writing letters, you're writing emails, you can say write in a friendly tone, write in a professional tone, write in an academic tone, right? You can use different tones to make it according to the situation, right? Now, I mean, this is a biggest concern. Few members ask the same question, and this is a question that I get every single day. Our students are using Gen AI. What should we do, right? Um, um, there are a lot of concerns. There are a lot of debate, and I don't want to get into the middle of it. My answer has always been, right? Number one, we are not native. I don't know how many native English speakers are here. We are not native English speakers, right? And anything you do, right? If you have a great idea, your language knowledge or writing knowledge should not be a burden to get it out. Be it research, be it anything else, right? Today, our knowledge and our capacity is measured by how good our English is. English writing is, which is absurd in my opinion, right? This is actually the bane of our education culture that we have inherited from the West, and we think English knowledge and then we put so much emphasis on this plagiarism and on everything, which is basically denying most of our kids a brighter future. Why? Saying unless you know how to write in English, you don't have a future, which is wrong in my opinion. That has to be changed. That has to be changed by us, right? We have to come together and change it, right? We can't go with, publishers, all these things and saying, no, unless you know English, you can't be better. That's wrong, right? So that's my opinion, and I don't want to enforce it on others, but all these things that are put on our head, I believe it's wrong and I fight against it. And of course, fall in trouble as well. But I think it's time to let it go, and because knowledge of English, well, it used to be a problem, but now we have the tools. We have the tools to forget about language. I mean, you don't go and tell an Englishman or an American, no, you have to come and publish your thesis in Hindi or Urdu. Why is it other way around? Right? It should not be the way. It has to be changed. And unless we change it, we will not never see a development in our part, because most of the generation, most of the kids are denied of becoming better in their education, right? But now it is possible, right? It's possible now. Why? Because you can use Gen AI to have your ideas, write it in any way, and ask it to create it in nice, grammatically correct, in the tone you want, and so on, right? It's now, you just have to have the data analysis or the ideas. You can express it now, right? Soon we'll have the way that you can express yourself in Urdu or Hindi or Sinhalese or Tamil, and write the entire thing in English and disseminate to everybody, right? Now that is actually a world that I would want to live in, right? That I would want my son to live in, right? So that is possible with Gen AI. So the possibilities that I said, everybody's looking at in the terms of what are the downsides. I see the possibilities and opportunities that are there, right? So again, experiment, ask for multiple outputs. Once again, you input, and you can, I mean, Gemini does already automatically. It gives 3 outputs. In other things, you can either do a recycle and get a new one, right? Or you can just ask it to do multiple things, or you can ask it to just give multiple outputs just in the first go, and then look at what you prefer. So somebody was asking, as I said, I was just saying, this proposal writing and different things, I just create multiple drafts, right? Because each draft is very different. It's not like Google search. Gen AI generates new. So when you ask the question in this algorithm, because we are talking about now more than 2 trillion data points. So when you ask the question, it will go and end up in one place. Next time it will take one route and go and end up in the other end of the thing. So the type of answer you get could be very different. And each answer would have good parts and bad parts. So what I normally do is I get this each answer, put it into a draft, use Google Docs, just copy paste, right? And then go through, okay, where is the motivation best? Okay, that one is good, put it into the main draft. Okay, but this one has another sentence which is much better than this one. Okay, let's copy paste that and put it here and remove the other one. You can just mix and match and do anything you want. There's no restriction of doing all that. So that's why, just try multiple options and see which one, and then you will learn how to use it better, right? Use follow-up questions, keep asking. I was, okay, if you know Salman Khan from Khan Academy, if you don't know who Salman Khan or Sal Khan of Khan Academy, go to YouTube and watch his TED Talks. There are 2 TED Talks that by Sal Khan's, which are very, very famous. Go and listen to those. Not the actor, right? You're not talking about the actor, right? Not the actor. Not the Hindi movie actor, Salman Khan, Khan Academy. So he's the one that's online, this educational portal called Khan Academy. So Sal Khan or Salman Khan, if you go and search Sal Khan TED Talk, you will get a TED Talk about mastery learning and this Gen AI in education. And he talks about, how his niece is now using Gen AI, or ChatGPT, and he says she asks a question and then say, okay, can you do please, and sorry, and because like you ask him more questions. No, don't worry. It's like it's just a machine. You don't have to say sorry. It's not getting tired. It's not, you're not waking it up, right? Just go and ask the questions. I mean, it never hurts to be polite, of course, but, don't worry. Like, you ask many questions and, like, I think it's like, it's the nature of, I think it's our fault, as an academic. students are like, kids are scared. If you ask too many questions, now your sir is going to get angry, right? So we are like, you ask enough questions and now stop. No, don't worry. ChatGPT or Gemini or Gen AI will never be like the human teachers. It will never get angry. It will tell you if you keep asking. So ask follow-up questions. Ask, more things. Clarify more things, right? And right. So like for example, if AI provides an overview of a topic, follow up with, can you give me more details about the challenges associated with this technology, right? And like, for example, like, no, I didn't give the examples, sorry. Ask for multiple options. Like, for example, provide 3 different headlines for an article on the benefits of remote work. So you're saying, okay, give different, multiple things, right? Um, like the variation, instead of what are the benefits of solar energy, try list 5 key advantages of using solar energy for residential power. So then you get multiple output, you can do different things, right? Different phrasings, and you will get different outputs. So once again, as I said, you don't have to write this down. You don't have to, keep this in your memory. You can just ask ChatGPT or Gemini or any other tool, how should I do this better? Try that out. You will only learn by doing this, right? If you keep doing this, then after few iterations, you will naturally do it that way. Initially, you will not know. That's okay. That's how I learned as well, right? There are a lot of things I have no idea how to do, right? Okay. Provide examples, right? So sometimes when I make proposals or memos and all that, I say, okay, here's a guide. Here's a winning proposal. Just look at that one and try to make it like that one, right? Or here's an example of a nicely written motivation. Use that as an inspiration and write this one. So if you give explanation, your output would be better because it knows exactly what the type of thing you want, right? So don't worry to try out, experiment, and tell us anything that is here, you can come up with more things, right? Just think at like, you are giving somebody instructions. This is what I want. This is how you should do it. Like, and give as much information as possible and ask it to do it. This one is total opposite of the point 1. What is the difference? The number 1 point, I said, be specific. Now, what happens when you are very specific? If you are extremely specific, you only get one thing, right? So what is 1 plus 1 is like, even generative AI, most probably, except for few iterations, it will say 2, right? So if you are that specific, you get a very specific answer, right? But even other instructions is more specific. So, so you can try this out, especially as I said, in Gemini, I try different prompts, be very specific on exactly what I want. And then I look at the alternate answers it gives. Most of the time, sometimes all the answers are same. Why? Because I have been too specific. So it has no other way to go. All the time it ends up in one place. So what do I do then? I relax it. I give it little bit of flexibility. I make it little bit flexible so that it will generate multiple answers. Now I can go and check those things and select the best one. Right? So balance the creativity versus specificity. If you are very specific, you will get just one answer itself. It will become just Google search or something. If you are very flexible, you will get all over the place and you might get very ambiguous answers. So it's a balancing act. Do I know where the balance point is? Absolutely not. Do you know where is it? Absolutely not. How do you find it? You try it out, right? You experiment, you put things, you remove things, you be specific, you be less specific. You only have to, try different things and figure it out. Learn from mistakes. Of course, that's the motto of your life, right? Keep, put it into your head or write it down, right? And one of the other things that was mentioned in the previous session, right? How do you know, or do you have to know? Sorry, your name, please. Ralph, yes. As Ralph, Mr. Doc. So Mr. Rao asked in the morning, right? Do we have to know the internals of Gen AI tools to get the best out of it? I answered you in somewhat, right? If you know the internals, you can get better results, yes. But, it's just like, driving a car. But one of the things I forgot to mention at that time is that you have to know the type of the vehicle. That I missed that one, right? So you can't try to go, car racing with a tractor, right? So you need to know the capabilities of that one. So definitely, it's. Even if it's a tractor, if you know the pedal and the brake, you can drive, right? But what you can do with that, and what you can do with a race car, and what you can do with a truck, are different things, right? So as you said, each tool has its merits and demerits, capabilities and limitations. Knowing that will help you. So for example, um, I I use ChatGPT and Gemini uh, almost equally. Um, so they are using two different models. ChatGPT uses GPT, or Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Um, Gemini is using Llama, right? So those two models, the way it is designed, are very different. So if you ask ChatGPT, the type of answer you get is it's kind of like very formal, right? It's very precise, it's very formal answers. You can of course ask it to be informal and all those things. You can do different things, but but kind of like a more like a specific answer. Whereas Gemini model is very creative. So if I want something to creative to be done, I will ask Gemini to do, like write a report or a proposal and all that. I most often ask Gemini to do it, because Gemini is very, very creative in doing that. Whereas I want precise answers, I want to create an assignments for my students, then I'll ask ChatGPT, because it'll be like, it'll be very precise, no variations, no kind of, unexpected changes in that one and so on. But it doesn't mean that you won't use the other tool for that one as well. Always when I'm using ChatGPT, I will ask the same question from Gemini and see what kind of things it does. Same here, other way around as well. I'm using Gemini. I'll just ask ChatGPT and say, does it have a better answer? Right? Then I'll just switch, right? As I said, it's only, I know, you have to just keep experimenting as you go. Because these tools keeps updating, right? So what you know today, somebody tells you, okay, use Gemini for creative, use ChatGPT for this one. Don't believe them. Keep trying, as I said, keep trying different things, because they keep changing, right? So don't stick to anything that you have read today, because it's already obsolete, right? So once again, I say this every technology integration session, right? Um, you start um, every journey start with one step, right? The first step. So you can't go and create this elaborate, prompts and all this flexibility, all these things. You can't do it on day one, right? You have to start somewhere small. You have to try, experiment different things, and you learn how to do it better and better and better, right? So that's the whole point. Now, as long as you know how to ask ChatGPT or Gemini, what can I do to improve my prompt technique? Everything is done, right? That's all you need to do, right? You learn that one, you just go and read. The results you get today will be different from the results you get in 3 months' time, right? That's the beauty of it. It keeps changing. I asked this same question. These things I just copied after lunch and put it in the slide, right? Why? Because if I had used the previous ones I had, that will be already obsolete. It's changing, right? So you don't learn something today and think this is the gospel truth. No, right? It keeps changing. Adapt to the changing nature of the technology, that's the only way to go, right? Um, right. Okay. Just for the sake of it, this is the older slides I had. I'll just put it there just so that you know kind of what are the different things. Like, so you can do different type of formatting, right? What type of formatting do you need? And what are the format, like, bold text, of the titles, and also different capitalization, punctualization, all those different things, formatting, you can ask it to do, right? And you can have, like, open-ended thing. Okay, I want to, like, I want to write, can you write a story about, this, boy growing up in Islamabad, right? Just young boy growing up in like an impactful or an inspiring story about a boy growing up in Islamabad. Like, that's a very open story. Yes, you have no idea what he'll come up with. Try it. It's very nice. It comes up with really, really nice stories. And then you say, okay, write a story about a boy growing up in Islamabad, who will succeed through failure. Now you give little bit more information, but it's kind of still open-ended, right? Um, and then, you have different type of things, like, you can have clarifications. Can you elaborate? You can have compare and contrast. As I said, I showed earlier role playing. Imagine you are Alan Quatermain and answers questions, right? Um, and question answer, compose a poem, problem solving, right? Suggest an innovative solution to address the traffic congestion in a major city, craft a short story, provide a concise summary of the main ideas presented in the article. I mean, this is just to say, so we had one of these proposals in our Learn proposal to develop our digital infrastructure and what do you call, digital transformation. It's like a really big proposal for like a lot of money, funding requirement, right? It's a very big one. And this happened just last week. Roshan said, I wrote it. This was pre-Gen AI time. 3 years ago, I wrote it. Hit a big document. And Roshan had got a call from the UGC chairman, that is the HEC chairman, right here. UGC chairman saying, that proposal, give me 2 sentences about what do you want to do and how to do it. 2 sentences. Like, he was like, what do you do? He's trying to reach me. I was unavailable. What did he do? He just got my proposal, put it into ChatGPT, and asked, okay, here's the proposal. This is the purpose. Just summarize this into 2 sentences, right? And just wrote it, got the output, refined it, just send it to the UGC chairman. That easy. If I wanted to summarize that, in the other time, you will think about everything. Actually, he used few more information as well about the subsequent proposals that we have done about digital transformation, about the key pillars and all that. So he incorporated that information and summarized it. So that can be done. How long? 5 minutes, right? You give the entire document, summarize this for me, done, right? So this is the beauty of this one, right? If this is like for me, I feel like this is a superpower. This is absolute superpower. If you learn this, how to use it, this is absolute superpower. So that is what I want. That is what we want to do, right? So there are other things. As I said, I'll share these slides, right? You can just look at. These are all you can search and find, right? So different things you can ask: argument, scenario-based, historical ones, futuristic ones, right? Instruction manuals. Any type of thing you want to generate, you can do it, right? Not to say that you ask it and just copy paste and give to somebody. You are behind the scene, but this makes it so simple, like so fast. You will still ensure that it's actually correct and make sense and accurate, right? That is not being replaced. The only thing is that the entire thing is will be generated very quickly rather than you having to type it one by one, sourcing from many different sources. Writing styles, as I said earlier, descriptive, narrative, persuasive, argumentative, reflective, technical, satirical, journalistic, poetic, instructional, any type of format or type of style you want, you can do it, right? You can ask it to do it. How good it is for your liking, we don't know. You can try multiple times. You can try different type and get it, right? Tone, formal, informal, conversational, authoritative, empathetic, humorous, optimistic, sincere, crisp, instructive. If you go to Grammarly, there's so many other more tones in Grammarly, like, how you can write. And then comes the specific purpose of this one. Like after learning all this, what do we want to do? We want to know how GenAI can be used in these different fields for different tasks. So when it comes to GenAI in education, this is a very old one, very old in the sense few months old, but in generative AI terms, that's ancient, right? This is, I think, probably GPT 3.5 era, which is like centuries ago, yeah, right? So now I should ask the same question. It will give me, hopefully, not hopefully, it will give him better answer, right? So I'm going to update this one, right?
My question is based on like your personal experience. Could you please tell us some common pitfalls or limitations of prompting?
I'll give you one today that has happened. I don't even know why it happened. So that the table that I showed you a table that I got the information and I asked it to make it to a table. I asked Gemini to do it. It didn't. It said something wrong with the prompt.
Like, and how to overcome those limitations?
That's why I was coming at that one, right? So I'd say, so this comes to what, so we had somebody who's talking about explainable AI earlier. Is that gentleman here? So, so we have this limitations in AI, especially which we call explainability. So like, because AI, as like earlier asked, a rule-based system we know. So if it's like temperature goes above 30, put the fan. Temperature goes below 30, switch off the fan. Rule-based system, you know something goes wrong, it's very easy to explain. Machine learning, we have no idea. Some of the simple machine learning can be explained. Advanced deep learning, machine learning algorithms, what it does, it's not explainable. So explainable AI is a massive up and coming field now because we want to know why the machine is doing that. Because earlier, simple AI machine learning models, we could actually understand. Now we can't. So there's a specific field of explainable AI. Even that does not work well with a chat, like, large language model because it's huge, right? So it's very, very difficult to use explainable AI, even that one. Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, sure. First of all, my appreciation for you explaining very comprehensively about the prompt engineering and Gen AI. First thing, on a lighter note, I think in prompt engineering you have mentioned here the pages, 11 pages or 36 pages as a prompt. I think it would take weeks to write the prompt for AI, and the amount you have already given to AI, it will be very easy for us that we will only write and prompt for this purpose, and AI will generate that prompt after the data it has taken from you guys. And secondly, on a serious note, is it a smarter approach to write that much long prompt to write for anything? And I have a secondary question and maybe a point to raise. Right now, currently, Gen AI is producing data based on the human data generated already after digging from the internet. It is producing the data we are prompting from it. So after, as you mentioned here, the few months old data is ancient now. What will happen after few years when there will be more data of Gen AI than human-based data, and the prompt will be given from the already Gen AI data? What will happen then?
For last question, answering first, I have no idea. I mean, I don't think anybody has an idea about that one. So that's where the ethical and a responsible use of AI comes in. European Union passed their ethical use of guidelines of Gen AI. At the University of Peradeniya, we are coming up with AI guideline. It is in the Senate to be passed. Not to be, as I said earlier, it's not to be restrictive, because some people want to just completely stop it. I mean, it's the same thing, right? You know, what the example you use it is that even if you take a knife can be used for all the good things of cutting and all the things, and killing people as well. Just because of that, you're not going to ban knives. Just you learn the ethical. So this is where in my belief, this is my belief, so I don't want to elaborate on it. This is where we have to go back to our roots. As humans, if everybody is ethical and abide by do no harm guideline, we don't have to worry about anything. The problem with the problem with the world now is increased use of technology and all these things. We have lost track of our roots, our ethics, our responsibilities, and our humanity, basically, right? That cannot be changed or replaced by AI or any tool. So we have to go back to that one. Our religious leaders, our other leaders, everybody, we have to understand the survival of the humanity does not depend on whether AI is going to succeed or not. It's going to depend on whether humanity is going to fail, right? So that's number one, right? So that is the long-term thing. So for me, if humanity is going to fail in another 10 years time, 30 years time, 100 years time, that's not because AI succeeded. That's because we failed as humanity. So come to that question, right? So the things that you create, right? How do you come up with this? And of everything you need to be curated by humans, right? You can't have that rule definitely, but you need to have it curated by humans, or you generate the tools that abide by these ethical guidelines and curate properly, and maybe you do a quality assurance or whatever, right? But we need to ensure that what we provide does not go, like, you know, I don't know whether you know that, you know, so this you have read about Isaac Asimov's 3 principles of robotics. Its first principle is you don't kill humans, right? And then the second one is you don't take any other actions that will what do you call, violate the first one, so like so on, right? So you have like at least the basic simple principles to ensure that robots would not harm humans. Of course, there are catchy situations or catch 21 situations that you have, but you know, but it's the general thing. Coming to the first question, how to create these prompts and all that.
Question was, is it a smarter way to write that
I
long
have no
prompts?
idea. I have no idea. How would I know? But the thing is this, if I ask it in one page or half a page, I have to make a proposal of this idea. Can you make one? I don't think it will know what to do, right? Because I have to give it, this is the proposal is about. So my prompt, as you said, 36-page prompt, it did not take me more than an hour or two to make, or maybe maximum 3 hours. Why? Because I didn't go and write that entire thing. I copied the instructions from the grant here, and I copied some other information from my site from here, and I went and got the ethical guideline from Samya, just copied here, right? So I source this information from different places, say, use this one, use these things, follow these things, use this formatting, and this is the output I want. Can you please do it, right? So my prompt, I make it very quickly by getting from like, but what you said a very nice thing afterwards. We will, how to come up with that long prompts? Gen AI, right? How do you come up with a 36-page or 50-page prompt? Use prompt engineering. Tell it, this is what I want to do. Give me the breakdown of what my prompt should be, right? How do I populate this prompt? Ask Gen AI, right? So it's just like, using prompt engineering or use Gen AI to create your prompts, some smarter prompts, and coming up that one, right? Because it will know better than me. This is things I have used. I'm sure there are 100 better ways to do it, right? Go and ask ChatGPT how to do it better, or Gemini to do it better.
So how do you vet the output of, how do you vet the output? I mean, if you are, I mean, if you know the domain very well, right? I mean, then you can vet it yourself, right?
Yeah.
So otherwise, I mean, in the morning you mentioned about Chat GPT, GPT-4 having 1.0 really vet the output of
Yeah. So
these models.
yeah, let me give you one example. So as I said in the morning, I showed you. We did this project on using Gen AI to generate patient letters. Now, what are patient letters? Is that letters generated by a doctor for a referral, for a discharge, for a admission to the hospital. Or that's all I know, because I'm not a doctor and I'm not associated with any doctor. So that's the only thing I can remember, right? But go and ask. Just type now, what are the type of patient referral letters and how can I use LLM to do that? It will give you a nice one. Do I believe that one? I don't know. It makes sense, but do I know whether it's correct or not? I have no idea. So what do I do? I share with my medical faculty colleague and say, I'm doing this project. Would you like to be in this one? Here's what it says. Do you have any input? Right? Should it change? So that's what I showed in the AI slide. We can come up with the technology, we can come up with the data and statistics, but without the domain expert, if I'm going to act doctor, it's going to fail. If I did that project thinking, okay, ChatGPT is great, this is all what is there, I don't need any doctor, I will do a patient referral system using ChatGPT, it would fail. Why? Because it does not have the domain input, right? So what you do is, that's why this is your field, you will learn how to do this and see what can you change. But if you're doing in a different field that you are not expert of, you get their experts as well, right? That's what problem solving is all about. Why engineering, a lot of engineering research and all the things fail is that, engineers think, I can talk about engineers in a kind of a condescending way or a self-deprecating way because I'm an engineer, so right. But we think that we know better than this is something that one of my students said, which made me cry. Like one of my students, my wife is doing molecular biology, so we are always doing projects together, and I got couple of my students to work with her to do this bioinformatics analysis. Those are published in high impact papers projects now. But she was not doing this. One of the students was not doing her work. And I called her and I said, why are you not doing this? What's the problem? So my friends are laughing that I came to engineering and now I'm doing my biology stuff. I said, what the hell? Who's telling you these things? Right? You are in engineering. Engineering is problem solving. You go and solve the problems of others. If you want to solve engineering problems, you are just doing coding. If you want to do a coding, that's fine. You came to the wrong place. You don't have to be an engineer to do coding. You can have just learned Java from outside. You could have done coding. But this kind of mindset is there, right? It's a wrong mindset. We want to go to the experts and learn from them what are your problems, and we'll come up with a solution. Or you ask us what are the things we want, then we'll help you to formulate the answers. Right. So, we are looking at a few things, Gen AI, just go and search for this. Don't look at this one, copy this one, or photo this one, right? How can you use Gen AI to improve education? Or how can you use Gen AI in education, right? If you ask it now, you will get a lot different answer than that. There'll be a lot of overlap, but there'll be a lot of new things as well. Same with finance, right? if you want to use, how can you use Gen AI in finance? It will give you a lot of answers, nice answers and all that. Gen AI in administration. How can ChatGPT be used in leadership practice? Decision support, knowledge augmentation, communication facilitation, task automation, idea generation, training and development. Now, if I ask here, I know, there are some who have been in administration and leadership positions for a long time, right? Or even some for a few years. If I ask you to come up with tasks that you can do, who would be able to come up with all these things? Top of your head? Nobody, right? Why? Because you don't think about these things all day, right? But you just ask a simple question. I never thought about this one. This is all that you get every time, right? Because there are a lot of things that this is sourced from a worldwide knowledge, right? So it's very easy. Just list it down and say, okay, now next task is, okay, good. Now I know how to do these things. What needs to be done? So how do I do it? Give me a plan. Give me a plan to improve this one. Let's break it down. Give me a 1-year plan to do the leadership practice. As I said, the only thing, I'm not saying it's a miracle tool or anything. Don't use it blindly, right? It's not anything to be used blindly. But you can use it iteratively to improve each part. So for example, right, where to go from here? So for example, I was going to do a kind of a hands-on trying out, but since you are so tired and it's afternoon and all that, but try this. So let me say, like, now the objective of this one is how to improve, how to empower NRENs by Gen AI, right? So go do this now, or go home, or go to your hotel room, or next week. Just do this, right? Now I want to use Gen AI to improve, learn, right? So what do I know? What do I do? This is my prompt, right? More or less, right? I say, okay, I'm I'm a consultant CTO of Lanka. Okay, actually I make it a conversation. I ask, do you know what an NREN is? Yes, it'll explain what an NREN is, right? You can just try what an NREN. It'll explain what it is. Do you know what Learn is? Yeah, Lanka Education and Research Network. And okay, fine. I'm the CEO of it. We are looking at ways of using generative AI to improve the operations of Learn, right? Can you give a brief breakdown of how that can be done, right? This is the question I would ask. And it will give you like a brief, big picture view of, okay, you can do this one, this one, this one. Now, this is not going to be very descriptive. It will have breakdown of things. It will not descriptive. I have no idea what the answer looks like. But if it's not the way you want, you go and ask it in a different way, right? And then, okay, now I want to streamline my HR department, my human resources recruitment department. How do I do it? Give me a plan, right? How do I automate it? What can it be done? Just go and look at the answers. See whether it makes sense. You get your HR person or HR department. Discuss with them what makes sense, what does not make sense, what can be done, and so on. So this is how you, right? You always work with the people or get them to do it. Okay? Here's how you do the Gen AI thing. Come up with a plan to transform or fully automate, streamline and automate the HR department in 1 year's time. Or if you can't do it in 1 year time, tell me how long you need, right? So these are things that you can do. Will it work? We have no idea. But we at least have a plan now. We at least have something that we can follow up. So this is like the big ideas. Like, okay, this is what we can do. We can automate this, the screening process. Yeah, fine. Give me step-by-step instructions how to change it. Like, how do you implement this? Give me the implementation instructions. You can do all these things, right? You can do all these things, each one by one, right? I want to automate this process. Okay, how do you do it? Right? It will break it down. Right? Fine. Tell me how you just do this step. Go until you get the answers which with each implementable step that you can give to somebody and say, do this, right? And it will come up with that answer if you ask the proper questions. Like the problem is this, right? You can't ask that one at the beginning, because it will give you like a 300-page document which nobody will understand. So you'll build to get the big picture. How to break it down? Okay, fine. How to break out this particular thing? It's good. How to break down this part? This part, and then you come up with the document. This is how you do a proposal and other thing as well, right? So how to use it? Ask it and see, right? Ask multiple times. It will give you multiple answers. Does it mean one answer is different from the others? Now, if you have done a management course or followed any management things, you'll see this, goals, these all goals, objectives, strategies and tasks. They sometimes, some people say it has to be GOST, some people say GOTS, some people say it's a complete different thing. Does it mean those management styles will fail? No. Those are like, complementary things that you can use. Like, there's no one formula that will make any place successful. You can go to the same place in multiple ways, right? So it doesn't mean that, if you get multiple answers, that it's one thing is good, the other thing is bad. But you can just compare things and see what works best for you. It's not giving you answer the best answer, or no, that does not work for you. Okay, say, okay, no, this is not going to work. Because, these limitations, this is not a good plan, because, we have this resource limitations, we have this, we don't have the necessary manpower, we don't have the funding to do this. Can you come up with a solution that needs this? This is the number of people we have. This is what their capacities are. This is how much money we have. Come up with a plan. You can tell all these things. You don't have to come up with that plan. Okay, it doesn't seem work. No. Tell it all your problems, all your limitations, and try to come up with a plan. See whether it works. See whether it matches. If it not, go and say, no, I don't like this part. Can you change it to this way?
So NREN, NREN or any problem. So you need to know the problem, right? So this is a problem, or this is what I want to do, or I want to develop the next version of this network, right? So then typically, without any Gen AI, you probably do some brainstorming. So you gather some colleagues, do some brainstorming, and then you come up with some plan on how you can address that problem, or potentially a new thing, right? So what you're saying is, so I'm trying to get a sense for in that kind of a situation. That's the traditional way of doing it, right? So where does Gen AI, can it help in organizing this brainstorming? I don't think it can actually replace that brainstorming session and come up with a specific solution for your institution, right?
Yeah, so this is, okay. So I mentioned this one in the morning as well. So I want to emphasize. So thank you very much for the question, because I think it's a great place to actually stop also, to wind down. So if you can remember what we discussed in the morning, right? What this madam argued with me, or not argued very correctly with me about what you want AI to do, right? Now, what do you want AI to do? Do I want AI to tell me how to improve my NREN better, or what should I do? Should I allow it to make the next decision? Absolutely not. We'll take the decision, right? Leadership will take the decision. We'll set the vision based on what we want to do and taking insight from others. Now, if I ask Tuan, who's from Learn, what he hates most? This is the question here that we had in the morning. What do you hate most in your job? What do you waste most time in your job? Doing simple, repetitive tasks. So what do you want AI to do? Get me free from this boring, repetitive stuff that I do every day, that if I train properly, even a monkey could do. Now, instead of a monkey, we have AI or machines, right? So that's what we want to do. Not to envision how the NREN should be, what's the next step for the NREN. I want to free up Tuan with his repetitive, boring work so that he wakes up every day, oh, what the hell, right? So I want him to come refreshed, okay, I don't have to worry about any this mundane work. Let me think, or just become bored and think, okay, I should go and build something. Right? That's where the human creativity comes from. That's where the human ingenuity comes from. Unfortunately, we have an epidemic of overworked people where the entire creativity is lost, where your imagination is lost. We have made ourselves robots and machines. So what we want to do with Gen AI is not for it to be creative. We want ourselves freed up enough that we can be creative. But having said that, I will go and ask Gen AI, now we have done all this, what can we do next in NREN? What are the others doing? Even that I'll ask, because it will source from all the NRENs in the world and tell me this is what others are doing. Right? But this doesn't mean that I'm going to do what they are doing in Bolivia. Why I state Bolivia is actually doing really well as an NREN. They are doing amazing work. But I'm not just going to go and do what they are doing today, because I don't know. It might not suit us. But the thing is, I can get inspiration from others, which is easier to get now from Gen AI. So I'll ask, give us ideas. What are the things that we can do more? But that's not the purpose of this empowerment thing. That one is to streamline, make the day-to-day operations efficient and productive, so that we free up ourselves to do better, creative, innovative work.
Script things out, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so the repetitive tasks, you don't, I mean, there are some repetitive tasks there you don't need any artificial intelligence, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so it actually, there is this gap between, like, there's human intelligence. Maybe there are different levels of human intelligence, right? I mean, so there is this automation where you can script out some tasks, which is mundane, like repetitive tasks. But then there is next level where you still need a human involvement. You cannot completely script it out. So it's actually like there are multiple levels, and then like, so
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah,
saying that
definitely.
so
Absolutely.
we can basically appropriately use it, right? I mean, so it's still mundane, but it requires some human intelligence.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, this is right. This is an evolving thing. Now let's say like this. That gentleman asked earlier in the day. Spam filtering. Right? So now spam filtering was a rule-based system earlier. You will put the rules, what are the things to look for, and it filtered itself, right? Then you had to, what did you have to do? So each time you figure out a new spam, you'll have to go and add it, right? You have to add a new filter. You have to add a new rule. So we kept doing that one. How did we replace that with machine intelligence? Now we put a machine intelligence saying, see what people are clicking as spam, learn the pattern, try to predict, give a probability of whether this is spam or not. So if you go and look at a spam filter, it's not a binary thing. It's actually a probability value. It's a score, right? It's a score value. So above above certain number, you just completely discard, like definite spam. And then what you get in your spam folder is actually just above that threshold, which should not be sent to. But even then, some come to your inbox. They are like below that one. So you click that as a spam, it goes to that one. The spam machine learning will learn it, add to the knowledge that you have already, and do better next time. So this is because I was in system administration for long, like 10 years before I actually started teaching again. So what I mean, even then I was actually working as a network director of our network in the university. So what I would do is, automate these tasks, just, check the logs, or monitor the logs and all that. Rule-based systems, right? But if I have AI, what would I do? I will have AIs to detect for anomalies. Now, how can you write a rule for an anomaly detection? I don't even know what the anomaly is. Why is it called an anomaly? Because it goes away from the accepted norm. How do you understand? How do you detect an anomaly? By machine learning, clustering, unsupervised learning. You just need have this cluster, something beyond this one, something fishy. Could be good, could be bad, we don't know. But it's an anomaly. Let's go and check what it is. Now you need human intervention, right? Maybe, depending on the anomaly, we might take certain decisions. If it's a missile launch system, there's an anomaly, what do? You lock entire thing, right? You lock entire thing and human go and check, right? You don't wait, you don't run the system anymore. So based on the, in the criticality of system, you can take decisions, right? Yes, I think. Okay. One last question and we'll wrap up.
But isn't it that things like Gen AI is going to reduce the creative and innovative thinking in the near future?
Um, Once again, I had one slide in the
Like
future.
things like Gen AI is going to reduce innovative and creative thinking in the near future.
Yeah, so it's like
It cannot
this.
stop. I understand that it cannot stop, but it can reduce.
So it's an excellent question, and I mean this is actually the biggest concern and biggest problem everybody has, right? Let me give you an answer from a historical perspective, because this has been the same argument that has been there uh, when when let's say when Gutenberg came up with the printing press, right? So the printing press, when the printing press came, what was the argument? Now the knowledge is going to be printed everywhere. You don't have to remember anything. Our creativity, our knowledge is going to go away. You don't have to remember anything because everybody thinks it's printed in paper. It's useless. What happened? It created a knowledge revolution. What happened? Earlier knowledge was just limited to few people, few clerics who just memorized everything. Now it was in paper. Now you can distribute it everywhere. What happened? Everybody started learning. Not everybody, gradually everybody started learning. What did it do to the people who memorized these things? Our memory capacity is limited. So they had used their memory just to save it there. Now they could keep it aside, use it for creating more things with their memory capacity, right? And let's think about, that lady said earlier, like using a calculator, right? Using a calculator, what happened? Did it make us stupider in terms of mathematical ability? No, right? I mean, if you want to solve all mathematical things in your head, that is fine.
AI, like we are using for cognitive sort of things, like so that is not like calculator things, and that you cannot.
I'm coming to that one, right? So the thing is this, right? It's like it's the way that you use AI. If you rely on AI, just like a person who relies on calculator to get 1 plus 2, you will lose all mathematical ability. But if you go for higher level of higher mathematics and use the calculator to solve the equations, then you are using your brain power at a higher level. But did it make some people stupider than they used to be, where they remember the absolutely did. So it does not say that it cannot make it. If you use technology, people can become dumber. It does not mean it happens because of technology. Because I can tell from this one, and a couple of things I tell. So my wife, so she's a professor in agriculture. So she do a lot of research writing, and she's been using free version of Grammarly. So free version of Grammarly don't tell you what is wrong. It just gives you a number saying there are this many errors in the thing. So you know what happened? Like, I mean, her English is good, of course, but she learn how to detect what is wrong, and she will go and correct these things. And now she doesn't need Grammarly because like she has learned it so much, right? She knows by looking at it, this is wrong. Why? Because with using Grammarly AI, she had learned what is the right use, what is the wrong use, right? So now you come to a stage that you consciously do this. After a while, you learn all the grammar rules and you don't even know it AI. Now, my perspective, all this proposal development and all that, my creativeness has skyrocketed. I am creating things I could never imagine. But let's go beyond that one. This like, Delhi art and all that. People are saying it's like, it's like, it's not art. It's not, it's image creation. It's not a thing, right? Now, it's the same argument. Like, earlier you have paintings and then you come up with cameras and people start taking photos. Is it a replacement of photos with the art? No. Like, so what did it do? Did was a painter good photographer? Probably not. Is a good photographer a good painter? Doesn't have to be. Is it not complementary? Like, good photograph and good art we can enjoy. But say that you're not dexterous at all. You don't even have, say, your hands, but you can just instruct a computer to generate an image that comes in your head, right? And if that can convey some information or knowledge or idea to somebody, isn't it form of art? Right? So this the boundaries of what we call art today will be different from tomorrow. Right? So it's evolving, but we want to kind of uh, define it or restrict it to what we know today. Tomorrow is different. Anyway, I think we are out of time, right? So what I want you to do is please think about your field and right, what you want to do, different areas. Try out different things, break it down, come up with different things to do. Very big picture ideas are fine. I mean, you don't have to go to breakdown and all that. This is what I am doing. This is my day-to-day task. This is what ChatGPT told me, that this is what we are going to try. And we tried this, all these things. This is my email, astheb@eng.pdn.ac.lk. Can you put the slide, please? Right? So please let us know. And as I said, we'll be very glad to get your feedback, your use cases, how it's helpful, how it's not helpful, right? All these things. It's not, I mean, this is not an attempt to say Gen AI is great, everybody should use it for everything. Absolutely not. We need to figure out how this can help us do things better, right? Makes lives better, makes the world a better place. That's the whole idea. As I said, we'll be using this information, the survey knowledge and feedback that we'll get from you to develop the curriculums and all that. We'll have 2 more workshops in next 2 APANs. So APAN 59 in Japan and APAN 60 in Hong Kong. We'll have another 2 workshops, or those things, actually 3-day workshops we have planned. And we will be providing fellowships, about 16 to 20 fellowships specifically for those to attend those workshops as well. Keep a lookout for those fellowships. We'll be announcing through APAN website, as well as there'll be, for that particular thing, we'll offer for that particular project. For that particular one, we'll have a separate one for that particular only. So for the next 2 APANs, we'll do that. And we will get you, so even if you can't share now, do things and come and share in the next workshops, right? And we will put this all this knowledge into an open education resource, which we will launch at APAN 61. I mean, we'll keep it online from an initial point, hopefully by APAN 59, but we will officially launch it where anybody can come and learn and all that by APAN 61 in Bangladesh in February 2026, right? Right. So your contribution. So basically, the idea is let us work together to improve all our operations, right? So because it's a community effort. If we all get together and share our knowledge and help each other, we can actually make it a better place for everybody. So hope you got something out of these 3 sessions. So thank you so much for attending. I appreciate it very much on behalf of APAN, as well as APAN Bird of Feathers on HPC AI, which is through which we organize this one. So if you have a free time, tomorrow afternoon we have the BOF session on HPC AI. It's just we have one invited speech and we'll talk about the future of BOF on HPC AI. It's not going to be a workshop, it's just a meeting, a regular meeting. But if you are free, just drop in for the meeting as well, because we have a lot of things planned, and if you have your feedback about how to move forward in HPC AI into the future in APAN, we are very much welcome. Okay, so hope to see you all tomorrow at the BOF on HPC AI as well. Thank you so much, and have a great evening.